Good morning, Ocala, on this wet Thursday. That's okay. Last day April, baby. Yeah, we made it. Something like that. Something like that. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source. I'm your host, Adam Mickulin. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ocala, Marion County all together, everybody in the listening area. As it is a little bit of a wet morning, that's okay. We expected that. What I didn't expect was about, 1:45 this morning to have it be gale force winds and hail coming in, or rain coming in and hitting the windows and making it such a intense. I thought it was just going to be more of a nice quiet front coming through, but it was pretty loud. It woke things up, like I said, right around 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I don't know, I couldn't see the clock, but we still have a little bit of that rain, a little bit of wet weather still making its way through, as we can expect that for most of the morning, as we see the slight chance of showers between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. all the way to noon. Cloudy through the mid-morning, then gradual clearing as everything's going to move itself out. We got a high near 81 today, and because a cold front is moving its way out, that means it's going to be just a little bit breezy as the winds will change now that the front's coming through, but we'll have that wind kind of change itself. Breezing hard, though, 17 miles an hour as it becomes westerly, as everything starts to clear out. Chance of precipitation until noon is about 60%, and there is a chance for a tenth of and a quarter of an inch expected if there's a little bit more of a thunderstorm that could pop up. But, boy, we had them last night, though. Thunderstorms were rolling in. I had a feeling it was going to be maybe 4 or 5 a.m., but it was earlier than that, which was kind of a bummer because I was sleeping deep. But the way it comes with that south wind, and as the front moves through, it comes right on the back window, and it's intense. But nonetheless, it was some more rain that's well needed. April showers, May flowers. Oh, and hey, by the way, May is tomorrow. We've made it to the last day of April, as it is April 30th this Thursday, which means now the stay-at-home order that was put into place by Governor DeSantis will lift or end tonight, and the expectations of everything coming through now is more of those phases and guidelines and everything we've been talking about that's been more broad terms to say, yeah, we're opening it up, but very cautiously. Started to come more to fruition yesterday as terms were set as to what's to be expected with that, which is good, which we'll talk about a little bit today, as well as some of the expectations of our big box stores and what other retail outlet type places are looking to do as far as their own guidelines to customers within their store and what to do. A lot of interesting stuff come through. On national news, they had just mentioned that the United Kingdom is looking towards the training of canines throughout mall areas and airports to sniff out the virus, if you will. In a way, they say that the dogs have a keen sense on even finding stuff like malaria and whatnot with people, and smell and taste, whatever. Dogs are amazing in that essence. But I guess now they're going to use that as a way to, run through the airport to sniff out if you have a fever. And if you do, you don't fly. That's a little interesting. I don't know. It's fascinating. A lot of the stuff in the future, like if there's a show or something you watch, when it comes to the future, I remember seeing a show a few years ago that they kind of wave a wand in front of you, and if you're going through a big public area to see whether or not you're sick, then you're told to stand down and stuff like that. And I could see precedents coming with technology, like we talked about with Vegas. Las Vegas wants to open up. I think it's the Venetian casino that wants to open up, and they're actually expecting to do thermal screening with all of their technology through the camera and the optical, to basically, if you have above 100.4 temperature that they can see, as they'll screen everybody who's walking through the lobby and so on and so forth, then boom, you're dealt with, if you will, which is interesting. It's an interesting turn of events for the idea and the concepts of where we'll be going now that we've had a world pandemic. And as we come out of it, to be more safe or less contagion, if you will, what lengths will go to that. And with that, is it a good thing, or does with that come a lot of expectations of certain rights that get foobarred, if you will. But I don't know. Interesting nonetheless. It's Thursday. If you're waking up, if you're still in bed, I get it. It's a wet morning. There's a little bit of wind blowing. It's now cooler. If you got the window cracked, it just makes you want to grab the comforter or the blankets and just curl up just a little bit more. So my voice is going to kind of talk to wake anybody up who's got the radio on or is streaming or anything like that. We say good morning. If you got an enclosed patio or lanai and you're listening to the rain out there, sipping some coffee, welcome to Thursday's AM Ocala Live, as it's the last day of April, moving yourself into May. At the end of May, the source is going to be going light rock. Just kidding, that part's not true. As we could, in a way, go from talk to little light rock. That would lighten things up. I thought about going to light rock when we started COVID-19. At least half the show at AM Ocala Live could be a little Kenny G action. Anyway, I digress. We got a good show for you here this Thursday as we're rolling through it. Yesterday, Wednesday, being middle of the week. Now we're on the backside of the curve for the frickin' week. And if you look at it this way, like we said, we're wanting to get to Friday to see where things are at in lieu of where we started on Monday, which has been a trend going since the beginning of what we've been dealing with COVID, to see where the 180 disposition goes for where we end on Friday. Well, Friday, tomorrow, is absolutely looking gorgeous as everything clears out today with some breeziness. Tomorrow, absolutely gorgeous. High just near 80 with lows tonight 53, so it's going to be a little cooler tonight, reaching almost 80 tomorrow. And then Friday night, low 56. Saturday, high of 85. Sunday, high of 89. Monday, high of 89. But sunny skies all the way through, as that's a good start to a new month. And as we do move forward for this good show, remember it is Thursday, so with the show we got lined up as we open the conversation up here after the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. We'll have our phone lines open, 622-9622. And then at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be talking with Galen, Life South Community Blood Centers. They've lifted the ban on elective surgeries. We'll talk to him about what that would mean for anybody who still wants to continue to help. And the idea of donating blood, donating platelets, donating plasma, whatever is necessary you think can help in the situation of getting the help that some people would need still. And at 8:30, we'll be doing news bits of news that you can chew. And we'll be rolling with some local articles, see what's changed within the last 24 hours. There's some new articles of certain things. And then at 9 o'clock, as it is Thursday, we'll have Veterans News. Hank and Gary will be calling us from the VA, Vets Helping Vets Clinic, there to give us an update now with things kind of getting back to some normalcy like we talked about, what that means for Vets Helping Vets as it was after the March, the week of March, where they expected to no longer see clients but still provide some emergency services as they lost half their staff due to the federal mandate, and not to mention the volunteers that are always there doing the best to volunteer their time to help out, obviously with the safety of and the precaution of that they normally count upon, decide to stay home, and out of concern for the well-being, they no longer had regular business. However, they were taking calls, and they still are, for responding for special needs cases if possible. 352-433-2320. It's 433-2320. And we'll see what their expectations are for the week ahead, with maybe getting the return of the volunteers and seeing what the expectations would be for then opening up for regular business with Vets Helping Vets. But stay tuned for that at 9 o'clock with Veterans News. After that, we're going to touch base with Laurie Williams from Bob Wine's Community Center. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. I don't know where the community center crap come from. But Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, and we'll be talking with Lori Williams to talk a little bit about some of the specials and deals that they have going on for the weekend. Now with things changing a little bit, that's a good thing. So now it's maybe more relaxed to get out there and find something from their nursery that you can get in your backyard or your patio and all that good stuff, from trees, flowers, plants, you name it. So stay tuned for that. And then at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to be doing, of course, On This Day in History, as we'll be talking about some events that had taken place on this day in history. And I think we're going to go all the way back. What do we got here? We're going to go back to, get this now, 1789. As we move all the way from 1789, we'll go all the way to 2009, which is pretty good. It's always interesting with it's a segment that we do on this day in history. We kind of adapted to what we know we have within the studio for guests and certain other segments, but it's one segment that we're doing continuously because it's the one that sparks some interest in conversation. I've been hearing good things, people being interested in it. It's always good when we have Lena Williams in, because she always adds quite a bit of good stuff with it. But we're going to go back to 1789. That's kind of the cool thing about it, is sometimes we usually see just the the beginning of the 1900s or something like it. But every now and then we get a tidbit that goes way, way back, considering how things go and the history of our country nonetheless. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, 10:30 to round out the show on Thursdays. Here, by then, I imagine the sun will be starting to come out, is County Commission. Last week we had County Commission Gold in. Usually have Kathy Bryant. It'll be a surprise today. I'm not sure who yet, but stay tuned for it, as we'll talk a little bit what that means for the county in itself, coming out of the stay-at-home order, and the expectations for the community and the county of what goes into next week with the beginning of May, and the expectations of getting things back to some normalcy. So that looks good nonetheless. As we said, we've got a beautiful, beautiful weather weekend. I was talking to a good friend yesterday. We grew up through high school. He lived in the street behind me when we were up north, and come to find out in our lives almost 20 years later, we live 40 minutes from each other, as he lives up in Gainesville. And one thing that we can commend to be the right decision is being down here amidst the gorgeous weather. Even though we had thunderstorms rolling last night, I knew that with a little change of the southwest wind, that it becomes more westerly and it's going to clear out, and then boom, look at the weekend we got ahead. And also with the weekend we got ahead, it means that there's maybe more opportunities for things to do this weekend, with it being nice outside, instead of just working outside and going to the home improvement stores or the grocery store or something like that. Now there's a little bit more options on the table, so to speak, which is good, which I think will help everybody's psyche, their mindset, getting into the first full week of May, going into it on Monday. So that's all good stuff. So stay tuned. Like we said, good show for you on this Thursday, this wet Thursday morning, but it's going to be a beautiful day later. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. And remember, we are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. It's a wet one. That's okay this morning. Enjoy that cup of coffee. Listen to that rainfall. Feel that cool breeze coming on in. It's Thursday, folks. I'm ready. Let's get to it. We'll be back after this.
I'm Chris Foster. As members of Congress consider more federal coronavirus aid for state and local governments, President Trump says again that aid should come with conditions tied to other issues like immigration policy.
If you're going to get aid to the cities and states for the kind of numbers you're talking about, billions of dollars, I don't think you should have sanctuary cities. And by the way, the people that have sanctuary cities, they don't like it. I think politicians like it a lot more.
The president says he'll travel to Arizona next week, his first trip since the administration issued guidelines against non-essential travel. A memo to police departments in California says Governor Gavin Newsom plans to close state beaches and parks.
This in response to the surge of people we saw at the beaches in Orange County this past week. And the bulletin specifically mentions that Governor Newsom was not pleased with those images that we saw on TV. Tens of thousands of people that showed up.
Bill Melligan with Fox 11 Los Angeles. America's listening to Fox News.
Right now, today, Lowe's is open. Open to build, open to reassure, open to provide the help, support, and supplies that keep our homes working. Open to the idea that when we work together, we can bring it all together. It's what we've always done and what we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us. Lowe's, here for you, in store or 24/7 at Lowe's.com.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
My fellow conservatives, please stay safe during this COVID-19 crisis. I'm Ryan Chamberlain, candidate for Congress. Here's my plan to protect us from future pandemics. First, stop doing business with communist China. Second, let's replenish our emergency medical stockpile and then pay off the national debt to keep our dollar strong. And finally, let's build the wall. I'm Ryan Chamberlain, and I approve this message. Now let's fire Nancy Pelosi and put America first. Paid for by Ryan Chamberlain for Congress, District 3.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
Hi, this is Brittany from Mike Scott Plumbing. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that during these tough times, Mike Scott Plumbing is still here, ready to help you in every way we can. We know life doesn't just stop, and when it breaks, we know your plumbing doesn't just magically start working again. Mike Scott Plumbing is taking every precaution to ensure your safety by following and exceeding all the guidelines set forth by the CDC for COVID-19, as well as local districts. As an essential business, we are operating at full capacity to ensure we get your problem solved day, night, or weekends. We're all in this together. We hope you are all staying safe during these trying times. And remember, if water runs through it, we do it. 866-314-4443. Call day or night. That number again, is 866-314-4443. Mike Scott Plumbing.
Hey folks, you said you wanted more BOGO, more buy one, get one free deals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Now Bob Wines has them for you. Check the ad, but here are just a few. Confederate Jasmine, regularly $9.99, buy one, get one free. Red Fountain Grass, regularly $19.95, buy one, get one free. Same for blueberry bushes, also on BOGO. And it's crepe myrtle time, of course. Bob has the biggest selection around. Choose from a whole array of colors, prices starting at just $24.99. And if you buy dark red, white, or pink, you buy one and get one for half price. Same for all shade and flowering trees. An enormous selection to choose from, and they're all buy one, get one at half price, with prices starting as low as $19.99 on some trees that are almost 4 feet tall. Check us out, then come on over to Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, daily till 4:30. And of course, you get free curbside delivery. Yes, we're open in the same blooming place since 1952.
Partly sunny today with a shower or thunderstorm around, high 81 to 87. Tonight mainly clear, low 58. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, it will be pleasant with sunshine, high 80 to 87. High Saturday and Sunday, high 84 to 89. Monday, plenty of sunshine. We'll have a high Monday of 88 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian May.
Additional funding is now available for the Paycheck Protection Program. Apply now. Over $300 billion additional dollars in 100% federally guaranteed loans are available to small businesses and independent contractors. Funds can be used towards payroll costs, rent, utilities, and interest on mortgages. Get, gather, and go now. Get informed by visiting OcalaCEP.com COVID-19 updates page. There you can gather the needed documents and go apply. For info, visit OcalaCEP.com COVID-19 updates page.
WOCA.
Listening to AM Ocala Live. Good morning, everybody. Good morning here at the Source, WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. We are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, the Source Radio. As we were saying there before the break, just a little damp this morning here in Ocala with a little wet weather that we know came in like a lion this morning, right around 1:32 a.m. Woke me up. If it woke you up, I had a hard time getting back to sleep, but boy, once I did, it was cozy. And with that wet morning, we should see this kind of roll into about the 10, 11 o'clock hour as we'll start to see more sunshine and the clouds start to break with it moving itself through more so to clear out for the rest of the afternoon. Although it will be breezy as we see the south winds become more westerly, northwest, and clears itself out for a cooler evening tonight. As like we were saying, for lows in tonight into the mid-50s, and then into tomorrow, absolutely gorgeous with a high nearing the upper 70s, near 80, which is all good stuff. And with everything we've been working, or at least I have, to get through this tumultuous month of April as dealing with COVID-19 and then these expectations of not having big expectations, if you will, about what to expect for the summertime and so on and so forth. We've been finding little by little, day by day, and day by day gets us to the final day in April. As tomorrow we look at May 1st, and what a cleansing, if you will, right? With a wet one today, this morning, as it'll bring in some sunlight this afternoon with some breeziness to dry everything out, and then we wake up tomorrow with a glorious morning and a new month, and new guidelines or new terms of the stay-at-home order going away at the end of tonight. And with that, the governor's executive order going away, what the expectations are, and what that means for the Phase 1 safe, smart, step-by-step plan for Florida's recovery post-COVID-19. As frequently asked questions for the executive order of 20-112 coming from the governor's office, it says, when does the executive order take effect? How long does it last? The governor's executive order is expected to take effect on Monday, May 4th at 12:01 a.m. and last until the governor's issues of subsequent order, if you will. It says the governor's executive order 2091, essential services and activities is extended until 12:01 a.m. Monday, May 4th by the executive order of 2111. At this point, it will maintain limitations on the movements of persons except for those of the businesses and services that are currently open and those businesses that will reopen at 25% building occupancy. The big question is does this apply to all of the Florida counties? This order is in effect statewide. However, the coordination of the Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County mayors, these three counties will follow stricter protocol without the so-called reopen provisions of the Executive Order 20-112, as we knew that there was going to be something to that nature of those counties having the highest count of what was COVID-19 and transmissions, that they're in a little separate ballpark when it comes to everything else, which is understandable. Now, one of the questions that gets brought up in the FAQs of what come from the executive order is the governor's executive order consistent with the president's Opening Up American Again plan. As Governor DeSantis met with President Trump, it was on the 28th to discuss this plan and the approach. The president was very supportive of Florida's efforts to take a safer, smart, step-by-step approach to reopen Florida. The expectations of the guidance that come through with it are near and the same as the idea of preparedness for more testing and intricate ideas of healthcare capacity within the hospitals, and then also too with the idea of other implementations such as phase guidelines and other criteria, as they do line up in a way. Where was it? Now they gave us a copy of the executive order. It's obviously written by a lawyer. Now, but they broke down some questions with it, and it says when we can expect phase 2 to maybe come to fruition. When can that start? And it says obviously that terms of agreements and endearments. It says once the governor determines that it's suitable to continue reopening, and after fully considering the medical data in consultation with state officials, then they're looking at the action of phase 2, if you will. Now, the idea of travel, as the expectations to say, hey, I want to go somewhere else, is airport screening and isolation is in effect for visitors from highly affected COVID-19 areas, as airport screening and isolation of individuals traveling to Florida with expectations for military, emergency, health, infrastructure, and commercial-related activity are in order. So as they look through it here, as it extends to, whereas as such, it doesn't get specifics, but it's looking like maybe we can. A lot of this is still a little convoluted as I'm reading it through and through, but what's cool, like I said, is they kind of do a breakdown and what does apply to, and does the executive order supersede, so to speak, local law? Now, the governor's order limiting the movements of persons has been incorporated and modified in the new executive order to include businesses currently open and certain businesses reopening. And again, that's at 25% the building occupancy. And the governor's executive orders do not contain a premonition on local rules where those rules restrict or close businesses or buildings as such, which is good. Like we said, it was something definitely topical that we can get in the meat and potatoes with, as we have County Commission coming in today to talk a little bit about that and to see what those expectations might be. It says here, what do I do in order to open up my business? What do I need to do? And it says, may my business and its employees continue to operate remotely and provide delivery of our product, which they say, yes, absolutely. All businesses are encouraged to provide delivery or pickup and to take out orders online or by phone. It says that the minimum health protocols that must be met to open the business requires appropriate social distancing and limits groups to 10 people or fewer. Regulated businesses should adhere to the agency guidance, and additionally, businesses should consult with the most up-to-date CDC guidelines. Okay, sounds good. Now, what do I need to do to open my business? It says review the requirements of the governor's executive order. Also review any guidance that has been provided from the state and federal regulatory agencies, including the Center of Disease Control and Prevention and their guidelines, the Florida Department of Health, and the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. As they say, stay true to it. Do employees' temperature checks need to be done? For restaurants, employee protocols remain in place under the governor's executive order. Other businesses should adopt appropriate measures based, again, on the CDC guidance or guidelines. And it says here, are masks required for employees and customers? As the executive order does not mandate the use of masks, however, we know that customers, employees, and employers should follow those CDC guidelines, but also it's up to the expectations of what guidelines the restaurant or business owner sets for their own selves. We know that certain big box stores are mentioning that you have to wear a mask. We know that there was the JetBlue Airlines was mentioning that the idea of passenger travel, if you're going to ride on their aircraft, that you're required to wear a mask. And those are some of the guidelines that they're setting on their own in expectations of CDC guidelines. Now, it says if a business exceeds 25% capacity, here we go. Here's a big one. Okay, if we ended up exceeding the 25% capacity, do they get fined? The business does not adhere to the 25% capacity rule. Do they get fined? Yes, enforcement penalties remain in place, including, get this, a second-degree misdemeanor with up to a $500 fine. Certain related businesses may face enforcement action for violations from their regulatory agency. 25% capacity. Now, that one I think is fascinating. That's the one I want to have an opinion-based topic on for today's show. If you want to express your opinion based on that, because how long would that last? If you have everybody itching to want to get out of the house, go do something. The weather's good. We're in the 90s. Things are looking more towards the idea of normalcy, but with phases and guidelines, and now the restriction of only 25% capacity. How long does that go before there's so much of a business turnaway? Considering that you have people that probably want to go and eat and do their thing because they want to get out of the house, they want to move on and do something, but then you're saying that the business is to suffer again, only comparing themselves to 25% capacity in the idea of what would be almost 100% capacity if they have the available business to do so. Because remember, at the same time, everybody's still hurting and you want to get back. We've been flattening the health curve of the virus, but there's also a fiscal curve in lieu of business. So at what point does that start to get controversial in the idea now of regulating that? I think that's kind of interesting. We'll see where that goes. If you have an opinion on it, give us a call, 622-9622. If a business exceeds 25% of the capacity, do they get fined? Yes, they do, up to $500, and that includes a second-degree misdemeanor with that fine up to $500. Interesting. Should individuals go to facilities that have not reopened? What? Individuals should travel only to businesses that have been open or are now reopened. Okay. All right. Wow. I don't know why they threw that question in there. But anyway, who enforces, here we go, the compliance? Who enforces the idea of the expectations of 25% capacity to write arrest second-degree misdemeanors? Local and state law enforcement continue to enforce the executive orders along with regulatory agencies that oversee the businesses. So local and state law enforcement continue to enforce the executive orders. And with that business, 25% capacity. Well, that's good for the AT&T store. Is that good for the local mom and pop restaurant? Trying to get themselves back afloat. I don't know. Interesting. And I guess it all depends on how long phase one would last and the expectations of it. Those are all good questions. And then it says, can I visit or travel to a family member? Yes, if caring for, otherwise assisting to a loved one or a friend, obviously. And with your own cautions and with your own guidelines and set up the protocols that you want in visiting a family member, if you know the, obviously, yes. Says, may I exercise outside or participate in recreational activities? Yes, if consistent with social distancing guidelines published by the CDC. Are gyms open? Because the idea of exercise, the next follow-up question, are gyms open? No, gyms and fitness centers are to remain and should remain closed. So your gym is closed. So yeah, go outside and do push-ups, jumping jacks, sit-ups, burpees. Burpees? Can I go to a professional sporting event? Nope. Sporting venues may not operate, but without spectators. Here's a big one. May churches, synagogues, and other houses of worship hold services? Yes. The governor's executive order identified attending religious services at churches, synagogues, and places of worship as an open activity. While that order did not place restrictions directly on the building or the venue, many local orders have done so. Any building or venue that is open should continue to, again, follow the appropriate social distancing and sanitation procedures. So that's a big one. That's a huge one right there. That's something that I think that's something that is pretty huge. And when we talk about the demeanor of the mindset to get back to some normalcy, I think that's one that's going to maybe weigh in on the heaviest of hearts to understand that if everything we've been talking about for the last month and a half, especially around one of the most important holidays on the Jewish calendar, on the Christian calendar of the idea of Easter and Passover, and all of the, how do you say it, all of the weirdness, I don't know, all of the weird stuff that went along with trying to hold services and what ideas were implemented and what some people did and what some guidelines weren't followed and so forth. This one is, may churches, synagogues, and other houses of worship hold services? Yes, they are open. And I think that one is the one of the most important things. Of course, being responsible to the idea of social distancing, that's fine. Maybe the Catholics during the peace be with you don't shake hands, I guess. Just do a little fist bump or something. But at the end of the day, that's a huge one. And I think a lot of people can little sigh of relief there and a big exhale, knowing that that's something. When I think about my grandparents, and of course, still them taking into consideration the consequences of what can go on contagion-wise, but something that they look forward to so much and have the necessity now in their mindset to want to go and meditate in the idea of the house of the Lord, if you will. That's a huge one right there. So that's a small victory in itself, that the churches, synagogues, and other houses of worship are open, and that religious services at churches, synagogues, and places of worship has an open activity. That one's huge. That one's excellent. Moving on just a little bit here, it says, can I rent or stay at a vacation rental? In this phase, no. The probation on vacation rentals remains in effect. Second degree misdemeanor. I'm just kidding. As state parks and beaches open, the governor's executive orders have not closed beaches other than those that were requested, obviously, in the Broward and Palm Beach areas. Florida's Department of Environmental Protection will announce a phased-in reopening of state parks. Get them open. Some of that's as big as being the conversation about houses of worship. Get the state parks open. Get them open. It's 90 degrees outside. Get them open. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful weather week. Get them open. May child care centers remain open? Some of them are now. Yes, if currently able to open, as long as they follow the proper social distancing protocols. Florida Department of Education has prioritized children of medical professionals and first responders working at businesses or operations that are essential services, to the extent that those child care centers adhere to the social distancing. Are museums and libraries open? Museums and libraries may open at no more than 25% of their building capacity occupancy. So museums and libraries may open, but they'll be at 25% of the capacity as long as their local government allows. And we'll find that out today a little bit more when we talk to County Commission and what their expectations are for certain things like that. Interactive shared exhibits like child play areas, however, remain closed. Local governance and enforcement are local authorities are allowed to adopt requirements directly on businesses, operations, or venues, including buildings, beaches, and parks, that may be stricter than even the governor's type orders. So there you go. We got a caller. Good morning, WOCA. You're on the air.
Morning, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Gary. I misplaced the 351 number for the call-in thing. Could you give that to me?
For the call-ins?
Or is this number good?
732-8000. Or no, that's the other one.
For call-in to to do the veteran show.
Yeah, I'll get you off air, partner. I gotta look that one up.
Okay, would this 622 number that I called now work to be on the air?
It'll work, but the other one's a little bit more clear for running the show.
The 351 number?
Yeah.
Could you give me that?
I'll get it to you here. I gotta look it up. I'll look it up when we take the break at the top.
Okay.
You got it, Gary. Talk to you in a bit, buddy.
You got my number to call me back?
I do.
Okay, appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. That's Gary there. Just a little precursor. We'll have him for Veterans News today, as it is Thursday. As we're making our way through here, we've been talking a little bit about what the executive order is to get things reopened, as it looks to begin May 4th for the week of. As we coming to the top of the 8 o'clock hour, stay tuned. We're going to be still talking about this. We're going to hear Galen's opinion about it and go from there. As you're listening to 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. We're going to be back right after this.
Foster. President Trump says federal slow the spread social distancing guidelines for dealing with the coronavirus will not be renewed after today because decisions are being handled at the state and local level.
So much has been learned about what we're fighting. And if it does rear up a little bit in the fall, or even a lot, we'll be able to put it out. We'll put out the embers or we'll put out the flames.
The city of Los Angeles is now offering free COVID-19 tests to anyone who wants one. Police in Brooklyn are called to a nursing home by neighbors complaining about the smell.
When New York police arrived, they found dozens of bodies stored in unrefrigerated U-Haul trucks. Between 40 to 60 bodies were stacked in the trucks and on the floor of Andrew Cleckley Funeral Services after the company's freezer broke. It's unclear if any of them were COVID-19 victims.
Fox's Carmen Roberts. America's listening to Fox News.
Right now, today, Lowe's is open. Open to build, open to reassure, open to provide the help, support, and supplies that keep our homes working. Open to the idea that when we work together, we can bring it all together. It's what we've always done and what we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us. Lowe's, here for you, in store or 24/7 at Lowe's.com.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Today in Ag News from the Southeast AgNet, here's AgNet Media's Taylor Hillman.
Pesticide applications are picking up as seasons progress across the country. The Be Sure campaign, brought to you by the Growing Matters Coalition, is pointing out that communication needs to be